address these challenges.
പാടാമേ നാടിൻ കാവൽ സംഗീതം നേടാം നന്മതൻ സ്നേഹം സന്തോഷം തേടാമെന്നെന്നും ശാന്തിതൻ സന്ദേശം ചേരാമേരെന്റെ ലോകം കണ്ടെത്താൻ സത്യം പാലിക്കാൻ നിത്യം രക്ഷിക്കാൻ നിൽക്കുമ്പോൾ മൃദുഭാവം ദൃഢകൃത്യം ഇത് സേന നമ്മുടെ സേന
ഞങ്ങൾക്കും നിങ്ങളാശ്രയം എന്നെന്നും നൽകും സാന്ത്വനം വഴികാട്ടുവാൻ ജനമൈത്രിയായി
കയ്യെത്തും ദൂരത്തെ സേന എന്നെഞ്ചിൻ കാവൽ സേനാനിരതം ഭയഭയരഹിതം വീരം മുഴസേതകൃത്യം ചതുരം സ്ഫുടകര നിപുണം പദ്മം സ്വയം നിജഹൃദയം കഠിനം ചലനം പ്രിയവചനം രക്ഷാനിരതം ഭയഭയരഹിതം വീരം മുഴസേതകൃത്യം ചതുരം സ്ഫുടകര നിപുണം പദ്മം നമ്മുടെ സേന.
Good afternoon. Hackpay is an international virtual hackathon organized by Kerala Police that started on July 7. There were more than 500 participants forming 100 plus teams across the globe, and the top 3 teams have been selected. In continuation with that prestigious award summit, we have organized a few more sessions for the techie in you. Myself, Achumariam John, and I'm a part of Hackpay organizing team. Mr. Sajja is the global head of service delivery at Cloud4C, who is our cloud partner. He is a pioneer in SaaS model and is a recognized expert in infrastructure management with over 2 decades of experience based in USA. His experience spans multiple industries and multiple technologies. Today, he will be taking to us on DevOps, a new era. I request Mr. Sajja to take the stage.
Hello, this is Sajja. I'm the head of Global Service Delivery at Cloud4C. Today, I'm going to go through a primer on DevOps and how it can be used in your organization. So when we look at DevOps and the modern technologies that we have and the modern philosophies we have, you have to take a look back at waterfall methodology and how that came about. And it has been around for quite a bit of time and was quite successful in the time period that it was used, where software development started with business requirements gathering, then coming up with a technical design document, business requirements documents, then a technical design document, then the software used to get developed and released to production for business operations. All this happened in various siloed team structure environments and was successful in the time, but it was too slow and it was taking too long for the software to deliver to the business needs. And once it reached the operational phase of it, software developers were continuously trying to catch up with the business needs and coming up with new releases and whatnot. However, in operations, there was a different challenge where operating this software without the help of development team, where you don't have developers in operations, has posed a challenge as well. So how do you bring these two together? And how do you make the software development methodology go a little faster so they're up to speed with what the business needs are of today, where you pretty much need software to be released on a daily basis, if not on an hourly basis. So in order to address these challenges, the whole methodology of Agile has come up. Agile and lean methodologies are the ways of business these days for software development as well as in operations. So when we look at the Agile methodology, how we do this is you kind of bypass the whole detailed system of business requirements gathering and technical design document and all that stuff, although we do that in some format in the forms of epics and user stories and so on, where those details are still captured, but much faster and without the very bureaucratic methodology that is used in the waterfall approach. So if you advance this concept into how they work as a team, you kind of, in the whole concept of Agile methodology, you kind of break the barriers of the siloed environment and you get the teams to work as a cohesive unit where the software business requirement gathering is now made as a product owner, where they own end-to-end the product features, how it works, how it is developed, basically working hand in glove with the software development team so that the business requirements are appropriately captured into the ultimate product that comes out. And when this is done, it's done as a team. So the product owner, the software developers, as well as the operations people come together in a collaborative way and use a collaborative platform in order to deliver the software to live operations. When that is done and you go into live operations and now you're ready to use the software and the business users come onto the system, then you run into the challenges of operations, which is typically scalability and performance of the software itself when it is in live operations. So the software development problems have been addressed. Now, what do I do in operations model once the software has hit the business floor? Well, that's where the new culture of DevOps comes into place, where every organization that wants to take on this journey of DevOps has to embrace a new culture. And the new culture is where a lot of challenges come into play because organizations are used to working a certain way. Now, all of a sudden, you're trying to break the barriers and bring people together in their collaborative platform, which is not such a bad thing. But however, it does come with certain challenges because the way you think on how to do operations once the software goes live is completely different. And it's a paradigm shift where the person that's developing the software is also now supporting the end operations. And the guy that used to work in the operations model is also helping in the development of the software. So to embrace this cultural change, there has to be a strong commitment from management as well as the team within any organization. And of all the platforms that you need to build for DevOps pipeline and how you build your software and your source code control and all the changes that you have to make to embark on this journey, the most important one is embracing this new cultural change. Now, how do you do that? There is a transformation model, many models out there in the industry, but pretty much everyone follows an 8-step methodology where you first identify your challenges, then you define your goals on where you want to be when you make this transformation. You make a collaborative plan on how do you get there, because now you're trying to combine the teams that previously existed in some sort of centers of excellence or separate team structures, probably geographically separated. All of that doesn't really matter. You really need to set your goals on the end vision of where you want to be with the DevOps culture, and kind of set your goals and your plans accordingly, and slowly make that transition happen. Now, as you go along, you got to measure your improvements. You got to have some metrics that you can quantify and see if the transformation is really helping your organization or not. As part of this journey, you also have to invest pretty nicely in the automation side of the house as well, because without automation, DevOps is a non-starter. In the DevOps transformation journey, you now bring the business analysts, the development guys, the QA people, operations people, all under one umbrella, and you call them the DevOps team. So what has existed previously as independent silos now kind of come together. They become a confluence of resources where different skill sets are working together in collaboration with each other. Why do we have to do DevOps at all? Well, if you're not interested in agility of the software delivery and elasticity in operations, you probably don't have to pay much attention to DevOps. But I doubt that there is any organization out there that is not interested in these aspects these days. So if you want to be agile in terms of your software delivery or your service delivery, if you're not a software organization, it doesn't mean that you can't use DevOps. Managed services companies and service-oriented companies that typically serve through packaged applications can very well use DevOps in their core methodology. And the agility of deploying, say, patches or new features or upgrades or whatever you may have that comes from a third-party software application or commercially off-the-shelf platform are very much in need of these principles and can greatly benefit in being able to always stay current, especially if you're offering a software as a service model. And when it comes to elasticity of these packaged applications as well, it is much easier and much more scalable if you try to do it through DevOps pipeline instead of having to do everything manually. So as you look at this and now you wonder how the team structure has to be, or if you're starting out in your career for DevOps, what are the roles? How can I grow in this path? Or as an organization, what are the different roles I need to fill? Well, you start with your DevOps support engineer, who basically is more focused on the operational aspects of it and handles the day-to-day problems, to your DevOps architects and leads, who basically design your DevOps pipeline, design the automation that goes with it. They work with your infrastructure as code and come up with architecture for making that infrastructure as code work as well. And again, infrastructure as code, which I will cover in a minute, is a very key ingredient of DevOps. So these are the various roles that you have to have in your organization. And if you're on the career path, it's your ladder to grow within this particular space within technology. So when you do make this change, how does a typical operation work? Well, basically, the way you have issues backlog in software development and you work issue by issue, either in a Kanban fashion or Scrum model, and you deliver your product, it's similar to that in operations. Basically, you have an issue backlog for each shift if you're working in shifts. And a DevOps team is assigned this issue backlog, and they work through that backlog until their shift is over or for the day, as the case may be, and then report out on what they've been able to accomplish. The accomplishments are measured at a team level, although individual measurements are there, that is internal to that team. Generally speaking, the issue backlog is typically a collaboration effort. Generally speaking, there is no issue that comes along which is like a solo problem of one person. Typically, 2 or more people are involved in resolving an issue. And when that happens, it is important that the productivity and the efficiency of handling that issue is measured at a team level. And the whole concept behind the success of DevOps is the team success. So everything that you measure in regards to how your DevOps culture is transforming along, you have to measure at a team level, of course, at an individual level, just to see how the individual team member is contributing to the overall structure of the organization. This is an example of what a typical DevOps pipeline would look like. This is an example for if you're operating in a VM model on how you would start with your software development, or in case of a packaged application, how you start from your base version and then add other upgrades and patches to it. And then you typically use your whatever your favorite source code repository is. And the pipeline itself can be built with a lot of commercially available software tools or the open source tools, whichever your corporate direction is. And the structure that you see, the architecture you see on the screen is basically a very well established set of tools that integrate very well easily together. So you can build your pipeline very quickly and adopt the DevOps solution at a rapid pace. Now, the heart of this whole DevOps culture to be successful and the platform to be successful is having a central collaboration platform like Slack or Teams or something of that nature, whichever is your favorite for your organization. And everything that happens within the paradigm of DevOps should flow through the collaboration tool. Otherwise, you lose a lot of efficiencies and you'd be back to some modes of waterfall methodology. And as I said earlier, for the DevOps platform to be very successful, you don't want to go create infrastructure as you're building applications. Basically, infrastructure becomes part of the code. When you write your software, you basically call the appropriate libraries or templates that you have and embed your infrastructure also as part of your software solution. Same thing can be applicable for a packaged application as well, although you need to write wrappers around the deployment platform there. This can be done. We've done it at our organization to support third-party applications, and this runs very well. And the time to market is been drastically reduced by an order of magnitude. For infrastructure as code to work, you get yourself familiar with templates, which is kind of a loose translation of what used to be the erstwhile scripts that people used to use. Now that we have frameworks such as SaltStack, Chef, Ansible, Puppet, and all, you can have these templates defined for various deployments that you have. And there is always other base frameworks that you need to use in order to be able to provision your VMs or containers on the fly. Typically, your infrastructure needs are also coded into these templates and stored in your source code repository. So it's a matter of packaging it all together when you actually use the DevOps pipeline to deploy this in your operational model. Typical skill sets that you would need for your team would be Python, JSON, YAML, of course, a very key element, shell scripts, some DB concepts, and an idea of some coding in some of the languages that are now getting antiquated by the day, but just gives you the framework of how to build very good source code for even the infrastructure operations. Now, you would prefer to have some skill sets in the configuration management tools such as SaltStack, Ansible, Puppet, and so on. You would pick the tool based on your needs, whether it is security that is of prime focus for you or speed of delivery to the end customers is of greater importance for you. Based on that, you would pick the appropriate framework and build your DevOps pipeline on top of it. There's a lot of other components that I'm not able to cover here in a very short window of time that I have available here that need to be put in place for the entire end-to-end pipeline to work in an automated way. We have done automation from the point of issue description to live operation provisioning and running, including monitoring, end-to-end DevOps pipeline automation from our organization to various customers of ours. And I'd be very happy to take you through some of those case studies as time permits. And I really thank you for the opportunity to listen to me today, and I hope I can see you again soon in future conversations. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Mr. Sajja, for your wonderful insight on DevOps. We received a tremendous amount of really interesting concepts from you. On behalf of Happy, I extend our sincere thanks to you and the entire Cloud4C for being with us throughout the hackathon. Thank you to all attendees for your time. I hope you are highly benefited from this session. We will shortly join you with another session on what do the current times mean for the future of cybersecurity workforce by Mr. Akash Agarwal from EC Council. The session will soon start at sharp 2 p.m. I'm signing off for now. Thank you.